morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, respective radio stations island-wide, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Marinka Gums, to address you. Minister Gums, you have the floor.
Good morning and blessed day to all. Thank you, Rolika, fellow ministers, members of the press, and the people of St. Martin. I'm here to provide important updates on several key matters. Vacation allowance for subsidized school teachers. I am pleased to announce that the vacation allowance funds that have been transferred to all subsidized schools, it is now the responsibility of the schools to distribute these funds to the teachers and staff. I received concerns yesterday about the transfer of these funds, and after verification, it was confirmed that the funds have been transferred. If there are any issues regarding the receipt of funds, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. I am aware that subsidized school teachers are still awaiting the cost of living adjustment, COLA, that was paid to civil servants in December 2023. We explored the possibility of including this payment, but doing both payments would impact the monthly obligatory payments to the subsidized schools in anticipation of the approval of the 2024 budget amendment. Amendment Budget 2024. The amended budget for the year 2024 has been forwarded to the Council of Advice for their review. We hope to receive their advice in August, allowing us to send the amended budget to Parliament at the beginning of September 2024. Budget 2025. Budget 2025 has been compiled and will be submitted to the Council of Ministers soon. It will be sent to the CFT for their Article 11 advice. We are on schedule, and the goal remains to have the 2025 budget enacted on 2% indexation. Regarding the 2% updates from the Ministry of General Affairs, civil servants are eagerly awaiting this retroactive adjustment. This underlying law is still under review by the Council of Advice and has been since we came into office. I will seek more information on the delay, as it is important to keep civil servants informed. The indexed amount is included in the 2024 budget, and we're simply awaiting completion of the legal process to proceed. We need to get a better understanding of the hold-up and the exact reasoning. ENIA. I have taken note of the letter on August 1st from the Central Bank regarding ENIA to my person. I would like to make it clear that since July 18th, 2024, I have been ready to return to Parliament to answer the questions posed. On July 18th, 2024, I was accompanied by employees of the Central Bank who flew to St. Martin specifically to provide necessary clarifications at once to not prolong the meeting. The meeting, however, was rightfully postponed to address urgent safety matters in St. Martin. In all honesty, the ENIA matter should have been handled differently. The government previous should have sought approval from Parliament before signing the agreement. In Curacao, the Parliament gave its approval in February 2024, prior to both the Curacao and St. Martin governments signing the agreement in April 2024. However, St. Martin signed the agreement hastily, previous government, without parliamentary's approval, just before the change of government, as they were under significant pressure. By whom? I am not sure, and I'm not privy to say. This is why we now find ourselves in this predicament. There was a Central Committee meeting in March 2024. The government then signed agreement on April 11th, and then held a second Central Committee meeting on April 15th. after already signing the agreement and then sent the answers to Parliament end of April prior to the change of the new government. Instead of hastily signing, they should have made sure the Parliament first was in accordance with the outline agreement as was done in Curacao. Nevertheless, I am prepared to return to Parliament as soon as I am called. My main priority are the policyholders, and I want to ensure them that their funds are secure, whether through the continuation of ENIA or not, as in both instances, the funds to sustain the solution for the St. Martin policyholders will be coming from St. Martin. And as such, from the Parliament meetings, it is very clear that the parliamentarians of St. Martin are all committed to helping the policyholders of St. Martin, however, differ in opinion when it comes to saving an independent private company. Tax office cleanup. Over the weekend, 560 boxes were relocated from the tax office to a storage facility. During my visit in May, I was concerned about the cluttered and unpleasant working environment. Employees had been working in these conditions for years, despite promises from previous ministers of finance. Our tax employees are crucial, as taxes are the main revenue for the government. They work diligently within the limitations of manual processes and outdated systems. I visited the tax office yesterday and was pleased to see the relief on their faces. I am committed to improving their work environment and addressing their concerns, such as lack of parking, safety issues, prolonged acting positions, lack of training, outdated systems, lack of vacancies being published, and inefficient processes. This cleanup is just one step toward the many necessary improvements to ensure our tax employees are appreciated and the processes are efficient for everyone in St. Martin. Lastly, APS pension indexation. I have some good news for APS pension policyholders. The APS pension will be indexed by 2.1% retroactively to January 1, 2024. This adjustment is a result of their coverage ratio of 109% at the end of 2023. APS will be issuing a separate press release on this matter very soon. Thank you for your attention. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. As your Minister of Finance, I remain committed to keeping you informed.
Thank you, Minister Gums, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would now like to invite the members of the media to pose their questions to Minister Gums, starting with Bibi Hatshaw of SMA News. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Ruleika. Good morning, ministers, colleagues. If I got you correct, the vacation allowance was transferred to the subsidized schools.
Yes.
But the 2% or the 1% cost of living adjustment were not.
That's correct.
And you are saying to me that 2024 budget is not possible for that and we have to wait? What is it?
We really do have to wait. It is not as easy as what we did with the vacation 6 going to 7%. This is a bit more cumbersome, and so therefore we have to wait until the budget is amended in order for that process to happen. However, I was able to see within this current budget the payment to the subsidized schools for the 1% vacation allowance, owing to the fact that vacation allowance is something that happens every June, and so it was less cumbersome to do calculations. You're talking about a whole indexation when you're referring to the COLA, for example. So these things have to definitely be studied out prior to making that payment. But I remain committed. We need legislation to make sure that this happens. And along with myself and the PM, we will do whatever we can within our means to making sure that that happens.
All right, and can you give me a timeline exactly as to when these people, the teachers and from especially subsidized school, will receive this extra money? And while we call it the cost of living, most of the teachers look for this money to pay car loan, house loan, extra school fee, and all the other added expenses that they cannot cover from their salaries. Besides that, the ENIA situation, I heard you refer to it as, yes, a private or a company. That was one of the things that us as the media questioned. Why would the government commit itself to bail out a private company. Today we have a different government, a different minister. What is your approach? Yes, the central bank can tell you, sign this, but if you do not agree with the outline agreement and you're going to parliament, do you have something else? A better plan, a better approach to tackle this matter?
Bibi, thank you for both of your questions. Let me answer the first one. You asked for a timeline. Like I stated, we are currently working on not only the legislation part, that takes time, but also the calculations. So I can't give you an exact date today, but again, the Prime Minister and myself are working diligently in making sure that that process is handled. It's long overdue. In reference to Enya, you're absolutely correct. Your questions have been exactly mine. The process in how it was handled from the beginning is clearly not the way it was handled in Curacao. So now you leave this government to come in now to review what is actually on the table. I went to Parliament, I expressed my opinion, not only expressing my opinion, but I gave an outline as to where things are at. This is what we met when we came in. This is what I saw. And I am saying at a given point, while there seems to be pressures from all forces at this point to have me making sure, actually warning me, because that was the words used, warning me to have 15 members of parliament sign to this agreement. I can't control 15 members of parliament. No one control the other person. So therefore, I can only present as is, and it's up to the 15 members of parliament to decide the way forward for this country. I can give my opinion. My opinion is this is not, in my opinion, the best solution on the table for the interests of the policyholders, the interests of the people of St. Martin. That's important for me because it's not only about policyholders to the central bank. It's about policyholders and a new ENIA. No, my focus is on my 3,084 policyholders. They have my attention.
Minister, that's the same thing that we heard from the former minister. We're hearing the same story today. What I'm asking you, what's the new solution? What's the new plans? What do you have that you can present to Parliament that is better than this, what they have?
Well, what I know is this. I need to get from Parliament their vote, their opinion, whether they are in agreement with what's already on the table or not. That's step one. Step two, then tell me if it's not the best solution, go and find. In the meantime, don't think that I'm sleeping on this. I have already started the process in discussions with various entities concerning this matter because I don't want to wait neither. You don't want to have this taken a long time to figure out for those 3,084 policyholders. And I am doing my utmost best. I am not going to reveal those entities at this point because it's in the preliminary stages. However, know that I am not sleeping on this situation for the 3,084 policyholders.
Thank you, Minister Gums, and thank you, Bibi. I would now like to invite Judy Fitzpatrick of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Prime Minister, ministers, and colleagues. Minister, on the same issue of Enya, one of the things that the central bank said in its strongly worded letter to you is that it does not think that an alternative solution is feasible at this point. So what would happen if Parliament does not agree and they're saying an alternative solution is not feasible? Will you still pursue an alternative solution? And I just wanted to kind of pick your brain to see what you think of the tone of the letter from the central bank. I mean, this whole issue happened under their watch. It is something that they were supposed to have presented. And now it seems as if St. Martin is being rushed to make a decision because any group is going to go into bankruptcy. We're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to do this. But all of this happened under their watch. So I just wanted to get an idea from you of that, and then I'll ask my other question.
You know, thank you so much for your question. I tend not to take things personal. So when addressed, that letter that I read was a letter, yes, addressed to my person. However, Marinka Gums isn't taking that letter personal. This is a matter within the Ministry of Finance, and I will say this much: I did not appreciate the tone. I did not appreciate the tone. I will be answering their letter. And I would appreciate if the press allow me the opportunity to first answer, and then they too, just like, to be honest, I received that letter via WhatsApp. So that alone tells you that went very viral before I actually got it personally. Again, the tone was not one that I appreciate, owing to the fact that it didn't seem to be so much pressure on the previous, but now you have myself sitting here in this chair, and I am supposed to now buckle under pressure. The answer to that is no. Marinka Gums, as Minister of Finance, looking for the best interests of the 3,084 policyholders, will not buckle under no pressure from no outside forces. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that they are secured, and that is what, like I stated before, has my utmost attention.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And just very briefly, how much did it cost government to transfer the 1% vacation allowance? What is the total amount of that? And what is the total amount of the 2025 budget? And is there any sort of new income generating measures in that document? Thank you so much.
That latter question, if you would allow me to send that to you via email, I would definitely do so. You'll get it within short. Yeah? Yes.
Thank you, Minister Gums, and thank you, Judy. I would now like to invite Emily of Island 92 Radio. You have the floor.
Good morning, Minister,
Good morning.
colleagues, and listeners. It's my understanding that you mentioned you've finalized the 2024 budget and working on the 2024 budget. 25. Does that include payments on the COVID loan? Because one of the points previously that was said, so correct us if it's not correct, if it's not true, that the interest rate on the COVID loans was contingent on having a solution for Enya. So it appears that there's not a solution in place for Enya. So has that impacted the interest rates on the loans, and has that been taken up in the budget?
Well, I can only imagine, thank you for your question, that it will impact. That is one of the things that I think I mentioned in a previous statement. I received an email from the former state secretary who asked for me to specifically sign on to the new interest rates towards the COVID loans, which would have been, I think, if I'm not mistaken, going from 3.4 to 2.9%. And I declined because I needed Parliament to give their opinion and to give a decision based on this agreement. To tie the two things in together for me is an issue. I think they're two separate situations and we should handle them separately. But I can imagine, yes, that this will impact our budget. It will impact because you don't know what will come with it. And I can only imagine one of those things would be higher interest rates.
So is payment for the COVID loans in the 2024 and 25 budget?
Yes.
And are you assuming a lower interest rate, or are you anticipating the higher interest rate based on no solution with Enya?
At this point, it would be anticipation of a higher interest rate.
Okay, and a clarification question. The central bank, as I understand it, is the central bank of Curaçao and St. Martin. So St. Martin is part owner, shareholder, participant of the central bank. Why would you, as minister, tolerate that tone from an entity that you're part of?
And that's exactly my point. I am not tolerating the tone. I will be, as I stated earlier, I will be responding to their letter. It's a bit weird, and I'll explain why. One of the meetings that we had right before I was called on July 18th back to Parliament to answer the questions. We had a meeting, and one of the representatives stated to me, perhaps we should hold off on a decision of Parliament before elections. So now you make me question this letter, because if that was stated before, what is your goal? What is your angle? Is it that you want me to complete or you don't want me to complete? You're asking me to make sure that the parliamentarians all know the risks or the benefits of this, and I'm doing just that. At the end of the day, I am not going, and I repeat, I am not going to not look out for the best interests of St. Martin. For me, that is the most important. And I want those 3,084 policyholders to know that they have my utmost attention. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Minister Gums. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session for Minister Gums. I would now like to invite the Honorable Minister of Justice and Acting Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Lyndon Lewis, to address you. Minister Lewis, you have the floor.
Good morning, Prime Minister and fellow colleagues in the Council. Good morning, press. And good morning to the listening viewers via social media, radio. Good morning, St. Martin. I would like to address, first and foremost, the riot in Dutch Quarter. In early hours of August 5th, 2024, the Dutch Quarter area of St. Martin experienced significant disturbance involving a group of young people. These events resulted in property damage, including vehicles being set on fire, and injuries of law enforcement officers. A total of 18 individuals have been apprehended in connection with these incidents. I want to emphasize the government commitment to maintaining peace and order. The Ministry of Justice is actively investigating the root causes of these riots. The aim is to work with the community leaders and members to find long-term solutions. I want to take this opportunity to ask for unity and cooperation, stressing the importance of peaceful and constructive ways to express frustrations. I want to assure you that the incident in Dutch Quarter 2 nights ago is under control. I want to commend our police department for their excellent and swift response. At every opportunity, I will address the young people of this marvelous country. I met with some young men yesterday, and I listened to their grievances, which was also initiated by one of our MPs. This is the first in a series of planned dialogues with community leaders and members. I want to highlight this to all, and I will continue to reiterate, violence is never the answer. And those who choose to express themselves in this form will be prosecuted by the full extent of the law. However, we will continue to look for ways to unite our public. During the consultations, critical points discussed include mutual respect, the right to move freely without fear, and the importance of a united community. Additionally, a firearm amnesty program will be launched to enhance community safety. I also would like to commend the Honourable Member of Parliament, MP Otley, for initiating these talks. I emphasize that we have to work together across party lines. Till today, St. Martin has never proven to have a full outright government. Hence the reason it is important to serve this country wholeheartedly across party lines, to restore peace and safety to our community. I often say, I am everyone's minister. I am the people's minister, which holds truth. I want solutions, and I am willing to listen to all parties to make this happen. On Monday, I had a driehoek meeting, which was held with the Attorney General in Curaçao, by extension with his chief prosecutor, the chief of police, and my person as Minister of Justice. The topics discussed were the recent violent crimes, gun violence, riots, and among other tactics, the police will be awarded special provisions to conduct searches at their discretion to keep our community safe. The following information is for the employees within justice. Batch 7. Batch 7 advice and draft national decrees according to our system is at the Governor's Cabinet since July 31st, 2024. Batch 8, advice and draft national decrees had some discrepancies and is being handled with haste and should be sent to the Governor's Cabinet within a day or two. They are currently at the Minister Cabinet of Finance, who is also doing their due diligence to have this expedited in short. Batch 9, advice and draft national decrees will be sent to the Governor's Cabinet today, August 7th. Batch 10, advice and draft national decrees was sent to the Governor's Cabinet yesterday, August 6th. There's also batch 11 and 12 that will be sent to my person in short for review from the staff, and that will continue its financial walks until it reaches my desk for the advice to be signed, along with the finance minister's signature as well. I would like to move on to, as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, I would like to make this announcement. During the month of July, the Department of Youth organized a series of youth-serving activities to promote positive engagement to lead to positive actions. Firstly, the department is proud to announce the conclusion of the 26th Annual Business Outreach and Placement Program on August 2nd. The BOP is a youth work experience program organized and executed by the Department of Youth, providing paid internship for 117 youths. Of course, this program would not be possible without the input of key stakeholders, and therefore must thank all government departments and private sector organizations for their commitment towards hosting our students. Most importantly, we extend sincere gratitude to the Windward Islands Bank for facilitating our students in setting up their first bank accounts to receive their stipends. Further, in collaboration with the SEDC, the department hosted its third annual youth entrepreneurship training, which saw 12 students completing the intensive training and presenting their business pitch to a panel of judges and the department on July 25th. The department also conducted a first aid, CPR, AED training in collaboration with the WIMS for 21 students who became certified responders. Also in collaboration with the Budget Babe, the department hosted a budget training session for 17 youth on financial planning and literacy. Via the Department of Youth, during the month of July, now I would like to move on to the Division of Study Finance. The Ministry of Study Finance received 114 applications, approving 98 and denying 16. I must say there were also those who sent in their appeal. It was thoroughly reviewed, and they were also granted study financing. Students will be studying in 5 Caribbean islands with 25 students remaining in St. Martin and 4 in the international regions. There are 13 educational institutions in the Netherlands, 6 in Canada, 15 in the United States, and 5 in the Caribbean, covering 39 priority areas of study. Details on student departures are as follows. Approximately 23 students departed to the Netherlands on August 4th, 2024, where I, as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, saw them off and give them a little pep talk before they left to the Netherlands. They have also reached to the Netherlands safe and is also being guided by one of our own from our education department. Approximately 10 students will depart to Tallahassee on August 14, 2024, and I also will do my utmost best to see them off as their minister. All other students will travel independently or with their parents and guardians, those also who have received study financing for the other parts of the regions, because they have different and separate dates that they will be traveling. By this, I conclude my announcement, and I await any questions from the press.
Thank you, Minister Lewis, for your opening remarks. I would now like to invite members of the media to pose their questions. Beginning with Bibi Hart Shaw, I would also like to remind members of the media it is one question for the minister. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relika. As clarification, can you give me the amount of LBAs that you're talking about? Is it the same 75? And my question, Minister, we've all seen what happened with the crime situation, not only in Dutch Quarter, but Dutch Quarter became the fiery spot this last week. I'd like to know if you have an action plan with the Minister of ESR to at least work on saving the last this generation, because we have seen that we have lost 2 generations. The results today is because we have a number of school dropouts and youths that were not given the opportunities to proceed in their career. Do you have an action plan to at least save this generation, bearing in mind that we have a one-pillar economy, tourism, and the current crime rate is not going to benefit any one of us?
Thank you for your question, Mrs. Hardshaw. With regards to the action plan, I have already had the driehoek overleg with my stakeholders on Monday, as I mentioned. That is in order for us to come up with a plan. Yesterday in my meeting with the 2 youngsters, the MP and also the chief of police with his management team and community police officers, we made it clear that a plan is coming, because I mentioned to them many of the children or the youth that we have today, especially in those concentrated areas, have parents that basically has low income, no income, or also children that are product of teenage pregnancy, that have no choice but to raise themselves. It is a social, economic situation that we have. And of course, social affairs falls under the Minister of VSR. As far as we can get with the police and my other stakeholders, then we can include the Ministry of VSR on how we're gonna tackle the youth and what type of incentives we can bring forth in order to curb the crime that we have in those vicinities, or in overall, by extension, the entire country. With regards to the batches, yes, the batches are still based on 25. Each of them are based on 25, but you have seen that I'm not waiting for 25 in order to initiate another 25. I made mention from the beginning, I would like to see 100 being signed, 50 being signed, not just the 25, seeing the fact that we have over or nearly 700, I was told, employees within the justice chain. Secondly, so if you count, I just mentioned about 7, 8, 9, and 10, that is 4 batches. That's approximately 100 national decrees that will be signed within short. As I told you, 1 is already at the governor, batch 7 is at the governor. Batch 8 just had some discrepancies. It is being corrected right now. It's under review by the Minister of Finance. Also, batch 9 has left on August, is going to leave today, and batch 10 left yesterday. So even though batch 7 already left, 8 didn't leave, 9 didn't leave, but 10 already left because it's completed. It shows you that I am basically persistent and I'm putting pressure on my department to have these done. The previous government chose to rehaul the entire Rexpositie, which was since 2016 and could have been adopted. And basically in the first year, we could have had most of the LBAs out. But a 4-year government only issued 144 LBAs. And this minister is dedicated within 3 months and will have more than that given out even before election date. It will be up to the governor's cabinet, as my job now has been completed. And the governor now has to do his review and sign those LBAs and send them back to me to co-sign and be distributed.
Thank you, Minister Lewis, and thank you, Bibi. Judy Fitzpatrick, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Minister, one clarification first. You indicated that a firearm amnesty would be implemented soon. Now, we've had firearm amnesties in the past, and the people who bring in their weapons are not the criminals. It's normal people who have something and they bring it in. So what sort of incentives, or will any incentives be considered to have the actual criminals, the people who use the guns for wrong thing, to bring in their weapons? And my question is, you mentioned that you listened to the young men in Dutch Quarter yesterday, and they stated their concerns. What were their specific concerns, and did they make any sort of demands to authorities, or did they ask of anything to authorities to appease their concerns?
I will reiterate exactly what the chief of police said. The conversation that we had with those young men, this is not a negotiation. It was not a negotiation. You asked to speak to the minister and the chief of police. We awarded them that opportunity to give them that chance so that we can hear their plight. Basically, what they were also stating is the behavior of certain police officers, their approach of certain police officers, the disrespect and the type of customer service they were stating that they were getting as young individuals within the community that would also incite the retaliation of what they will get. So hence the reason I also mentioned, and I told it to the management team and my chief of police, when I was trained as a police officer, we did get something called persoonlijke effectiviteit. We did get customer service training. We did get a way of having a non-politiële gedrag, meaning not having a police attitude, meaning we know that we are the authority and we do not need to give off that impression that we are the authoritative figure. It is the same way I act as minister. I am the minister. I don't need to prove to anybody that I am the minister. You know the authority that I have. And I made it clear, just being me is what attracts people. And it's the same thing I mentioned to them yesterday, the police for the community and the community for the police. Because we do need those youngsters when we have crimes committed. We do need information, and it's nothing about snitching. It's all about having a safe and secure community, and that was expressed to them. And basically nothing was ruled out, which the chief of police made mention clear. Things happened already, and it needs to be investigated. So for example, even if one of those individuals that was in the room were implicated in any crime, it was not a negotiation that they would not be prosecuted by the extent of the law. We need to work with these young people as well as to tell other young people, listen, the police is not there to be against you. The police is there to protect you. But yes, you have to listen to them and understand. And I made mention, if you don't come to us with those grievances of how other police officers are treating you, or speaking to you, or shoving your face down in a puddle of water, how can we react? So the Minister of Justice has taken note of every single thing that they said. And I will have follow-up meetings with the Chief of Police. He also explained them the route of how to file a complaint. And we also made mention that I personally have national decrees on my desk to sign for the dismissal of police officers who were convicted or basically have any stain on their record because of the lack of integrity. And basically that is what was explained to them. So again, it was not a negotiation. It was to give them that opportunity, and many of them felt they do not get the opportunity to be voiced.
And the firearm amnesty?
The firearm amnesty is also a discussion. It was also discussed in the driehoek overleg. We need to have more follow-up meetings on how we will do it. For example, the Chief of Police also mentioned, listen, we need those guns off of the street. He gave them examples. So I would just come and put a bag somewhere and tell me when to come back and pick it up. We need to have that type of lobby, so that type of conversations with them, so that they can know, listen, we need to get the streets clean up.
But my question, Minister, was the people who return their weapons, it's not the criminals. So will there be any incentives for the actual criminals to
Yeah,
bring
that
their
is what we
things?
have to work out on. That is
Oh.
what we're working out on.
Thank you so much.
Okay, because you know, not everybody gonna just come and say they're giving in a weapon if they ain't gonna get something for it. You know, some people feel even though the weapon might be illegal, it is for their own safety. But when somebody has a weapon for their own safety and it's illegal, they don't go outside on the road firing shots in the air, for example.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Judy. Emily, you have the floor.
Good morning, Minister. As I understand, there's a couple incidents. You had the incidents with the young man that was shot and killed by Guana Bay. You have the political candidate and the musician that have been shot with firearms. I think that the country and family needs some sort of closure, and I understand that you can't give specifics on the cases, but can you let us know, are the investigations going forward, and is there sort of a timeline to what you can expect, and can we expect that these will close at some point?
Investigations, Mr. Lee, is how you say, there's no timeline to close a case, as it is said in Dutch for waarheidsvinding. So you're busy looking for the truth. And based on the resources that we have, that is the only way we can get that information. Like I just mentioned again, the community at large in this country, if they know anything that can close these cases, that can give us closure, we have to receive it first. The police need to receive that information. They need to assess it if it's truthful, and then it can be presented to the prosecutor's office so that a case can be presented to court. I can tell you personally, as the minister, I have reached out when the young man was shot and killed in Guana Bay. I personally asked around for the parents' number. I called the father. I see how stressful it was on them. I spoke to them over the phone and I gave my condolences. I also did the same for the political candidate as well. I publicly did it. He did respond and he thanked me for his condolences. But I must say, once an investigation is going, the Minister of Justice does not involve himself in investigations. I just ask basically, how is it going? I'm giving little information, but certain information still I cannot divulge with the press. And like I say, the conclusion of such cases is based on the information given to the police in order for us to find closure. I must say that we also have the suspect for the young man that was killed in Guana Bay as well. As you know, there's another suspect that was held for the political candidate, and of course the investigation is still ongoing, whereby some immigration officers and police officers were also involved as bodyguards to the individual, where I have also gave them something called toegang-ontzegging, so a denial of entry, pending the an internal investigation as why they were there. And also, of course, the other investigating part is, of course, to investigate, I don't know if the guy is if he's dead or if he's still alive, but the investigating of the shooting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Lewis. Thank you, members of the media. At this time, I would now like to invite, that does bring us to the end of the question and answer for Minister Lewis. At this time, I would now like to invite the Honorable Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Veronica Johnson-Webster, to address you. Minister Johnson-Webster, you have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, the press, and people of St. Martin. I just have some announcements on some upcoming an upcoming event, the Mom's Health Fair that's coming up on August 10th. We will have it from 4 to 7 p.m. at the John Lamreny Center. The intention there is to provide families with information and resources on their journey of parenthood, and we are approaching this event from a holistic perspective and including aspects of nutrition, self-care, physical and mental health, and well-being. And we have invited several organizations to be there as vendors and to participate in this event, and we welcome the community to attend. So that's on August 10th from 4 to 7 p.m. Also an update on dengue cases. The CPS would like to remind the community to check your backyards, to check for breeding spots flower pots, any kind of water that is settling. We cannot do it on our own. We need you to look into that to secure your spaces from stagnant water. And so if you have cases where you would need CPS to come to assist, then you can call 914 and ask for the vector control unit. And we have had, for instance, from the Point Blanche area, we have had a request there where we know that there is stagnant water, and we are looking into that case. We just need an official letter, so we're waiting on the official letter from the community council, and then we can handle that. But we have proactively started to look into how to handle it. And in the COVID cases, I've been asked many times, currently, as of July, we have had 38 cases for the year. And again, it is therefore not alarming. It's for July, there were 6 cases. So it's not alarming for the Dutch side of St. Martin. I also want to mention that I recently initiated a comprehensive assessment into the treatment and reception of patients sent abroad for medical care, specifically in Cali, Colombia. I went there with 2 cabinet members and SZV board members, 2 board members. And so we had extensive meetings with patients and also with the doctors and the staff of the international department there. And the main objective was to strengthen partnerships and enhance collaboration with the Cali hospitals, and also for efficiency and cost management, and identifying and mitigating potential overspending. We also wanted to look at the patient experience and to see how we could improve their experience. And I must say that in our opinion, it was a very successful trip. We were able to see firsthand what is taking place in Cali, and we were also able to identify ways to mitigate costs, not on the care, but cost on the logistics and the amount of time that people stay. Another important announcement or what I would like to say is, together with the Minister of Finance, we now have a committee in place, and we are working on the minimum wage, establishing what the real minimum wage is. The minimum wage in 2022 was established at $9.62 per hour, and that was established by national decree, what is called an LBHAM. And for 2023 and 2024, the minimum wage was established via a ministerial decree at 9.95 guilders an hour for 2023 and 10.40 an hour for 2024. But that was by a ministerial decree. It did not go the route. And as such, you have a LBHAM, a national decree that is higher than a ministerial decree. So in a sense, the government before, the minister decided to raise the minimum wage, but it didn't go through the correct processes, which has consequences now for us as a government. It has consequences for the people. And so we are diligently working together on rectifying this and to ensure that we have the actual minimum wage corrected, established, because it's not established now. And we know that we have spoken to the business community as well. We know that because it was such a small increase, they didn't see no need to fight it, and they some did do the increase, but we know that we have to fix it. And so it has come to our attention now that we have to fix it, and that's why we have this committee in place. So that's something that we will be handling shortly. Those were my comments for today.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Johnson Webster. Bibi Hasha, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolaiko. Minister, I want to ask you if you are working on a second chance program. For example, we have young men going to prison for crimes. And when they get out of prison, getting a job, doesn't happen in St. Martin. You, though the minister, have to sign labor permits.
Yes.
Are you implementing some form of second chance for born St. Martin students or children, young men and women that have born here but ended up on the wrong track, ended up having some kind of criminal record, but the minute they get out, even though they probably went through some form of rehabilitation in the prison, they're not able to move forward because they can't find a job. What exactly do you have in place for those kind of persons? And also, I'd like to know where are you with the GHI or Otley Care? You've been to Cali, but when are we going to make sure every person in St. Martin are insured?
Okay. Regarding the general health insurance, the insurance for all, the holdup has been the SER, that we did not have a SER for 2 years. So there wasn't a SER. I have done everything that I could have done in the time that I've been here to get the SER back up, which also part of that was going to Switzerland when I went for the ILO, because it was the right to organize. That was the discussion, and that's why we didn't have a SER. I went back there, and since then we have had a lot of progress, and I know that the Prime Minister is going to talk about that because that's under his purview. But now with SER in place, now we can move on. What we have done is we have meetings tomorrow already, because we just got through with the SER. We already have, in anticipation of getting through, we already scheduled the meeting. So tomorrow we have meeting already, so continuation meeting on the general health insurance in the Council of Ministers, and also we are having meetings with medical stakeholders as well on general health insurance. So we started off very active with general health insurance when I came in, and then seeing that we didn't have the SER, I switched over to working on the SER. Now that we have the SER in place, tomorrow already we are starting again with general health insurance. So it is definitely a priority to continue. I believe in continuity of government, so it is something that is going to continue. And the ordinance, the draft ordinance is there. It was a discussion, are you going to go and change the name? I think it's SAHA it's called. Are you going to change the name? I don't have to do all of that. I just need to get it done. And so we are focusing on doing it. And so starting with tomorrow with one of the, I won't say the first steps because like I said, we've been busy with it, but one of the first formal steps to continue with this general health insurance. Regarding the second choice, second chance education. That is something that is dear to my heart, because I'm the one who have to come up here and say that I'm signing these work permits. And I can tell you, I'm going to get a lot more licks, because I got a lot of licks for admitting it, that for the hospital that they requested these people, and I don't have people, so I have to bring in, but it's because it's specific tasks. But people have been calling me and asking, they said, well, I have a construction company, can I go? And I said, yes, of course, because if you have the person here, then I cannot sign for us to bring them in. And then I started thinking, why don't we have enough people in construction? Because when you look around, and like you said, there are these able-bodied young men that do need a second chance and can work in the construction field. Maybe they might not want to work in the tourism industry, which is our main pillar, but our second pillar is construction. So they could go and work in construction. And I must say, I did have an informal talk with someone about it, about setting it up, about doing it. And why? Because I'm going to tell you today that the upcoming projects that we are going to be seeing from NRPB from everyone, they are going to be large construction projects. So we are going to see bids coming out for large construction projects, and what you're going to hear after that is the minister signed off on bringing in all of these people. But we had years that we knew that these projects were going to be online by the NRPB, so we could have prepared our people. This is education, this is social services, things that we could have done from then to have people ready now for this big construction boom to build a hospital, to build everything else that is in the NRPB. Look at the NRPB and look at all of the projects that they have coming up. They're all large projects. And you're going to get this, and you're going to get people saying that we don't have enough people to do it. So it is something dear to my heart. I have informally started talking about it. I know that years ago, like right after the hurricane, NEPA brought in people from Trinidad, and they started a project so we could do it. Why did that stop? Why did we not continue with that and bring people up to a level that we had them now? We didn't. So I now have to take this and say, yeah, I am bringing people because I'm bringing people who are skilled. No, I want to do something about it, but yeah, how much time do I have? So I'm going to try now to get this thing around. And I have started talking. The day of the fire, I think that was Friday, I started talking about it because it's something that I see needs to happen. It's a synchronization. You mentioned justice and VSI. It's also education.
Thank you, Minister. Judy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Minister, I don't have a question. I just have some clarifications on what you mentioned about the committee that was installed.
Judy, can we make sure there's one clarification, please?
Yes, the committee that was installed to look at the minimum wage. You mentioned that it did not follow the proper channels, the implementation, and so there are consequences. I just wanted to know what those consequences are and what is really the end goal of all of this. Is the end goal just to correct an error that was made, or is the end goal to establish a minimum or livable wage and have that implemented?
The first idea is to correct to what was done, which means just to establish it in the correct manner. So the 1040 to establish that. Then yearly, after the second quarter inflation rate comes out, then we look at how much the increment should be, and then government can start the procedure then for the 2025. So that now, I just asked the statistics department if they had it. I think that the relevant minister, the Minister of TIAT, just approved the quarter two inflation rate this week. So I didn't see it as yet. They told me as soon as they got it back, they will send it up. I didn't get it as yet. So when I get that, you can see that the 1040 might increase based on what is there.
Thank you, Minister. Emily, you have the floor.
Good morning. My question's regarding shelters. I was actually at the John Larmeny Center today, and they mentioned that the generator has not been functional, but yet those facilities, I understood, are part of VSA's shelter plan in the event of hurricanes. So it seems to be an issue. So the question is whether the shelters are actually ready for hurricane season. The second part of the shelter question is, I understand you're closing the transitional shelter. I didn't see any timeline or plans on that.
Yeah.
There was a proposal before where there were properties that actually owed quite a bit of money to the tax department, and there was a plan in VSA to discuss taking those properties, using them as a transitional shelter, and taking off the rent against the taxes that they owe, and therefore find alternates to replace the transitional shelter.
Yeah. First of all, it's not that we're closing the shelter. It's just that we're trying to find a more affordable alternative. We have a shelter now that is suitable for 75 people, I understand, and I think we have 27 people in there, but we are paying as if we are paying for 75 people. Those kind of spillage and excess, those are the things that we now have to cut back. So when the department head came to me with a proposal for an alternative space that's actually better quality space, qua maintenance, etc., that would fit the 27 people and would save the government $1 million guilders per year. I jumped on that and I said, that's a good idea, bring it to me on paper. And so we are busy now with that. And seeing that the contract for the space that we are in now is expiring in 3 months. I think it's at the end of September. Now is the opportune time to do that instead of us going over, paying all of this excess money. And we are also looking at possibly buying a building, just like how you mentioned one of those buildings that owes us money. And so have a trade-off. And so we're looking at buying a building, and that is even for additional space, so that we do not have people who cannot be placed. But the ones who are placed there now, we have found suitable alternative living circumstances for them, and that's where we hope to move them to, and we hope that they will be happy in those spaces. So it's not so that oh, she's closing the shelters. That wouldn't make sense.
And the hurricane shelters with non-functional generators?
The hurricane shelters with the generators, those hurricane shelters are also voting booths. So if there are no generators, that would be a problem as well. So we already initiated that we are going to look at all of those generators, and with the shelters, I know that there is a team that went out and that goes out, and they check the toilets, the generators, all of these things. If they have not done it by the John Lamini Center, I will ask the Secretary General, because she's in charge of that ESF 7, who's over the shelter.
Thank you, Minister Johnson-Webster. Thank you, members of the media. That does bring us to the end of the question and answer for Minister Johnson-Webster. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Dr. Luke Marcelina, to address you. Prime Minister Marcelina, you have the floor.
Thank you. Members of the media, Minister, members of the CoM, and the people of St. Martin in general, good morning. I have, concerning the upcoming election, some information. First of all, on July 16th, the civil registry delivered a total of 20,629 voting cards for the upcoming elections on August the 19th, 2024. And these cards has been delivered to the Postal Service of St. Martin, the PSS, for distribution to the eligible voters. The undelivered cards will be returned to the civil registry on August the 9th, 2024, and on August the 14th, August the 15th, and August the 16th, 2024, eligible voters can pick up their voting cards from 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon till 7 o'clock in the evening, 7 p.m. at the Government Administration Building. Ensure that when you come to pick up your card that you can identify yourself with a valid identification, so that will facilitate for you to get your voting card. I repeat, the opportunity is there for the public, for the people of St. Martin, that they can pick up their voting card on the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th of August from 4:30 in the afternoon till 7 o'clock p.m. on those three mentioned days. That's concerning the elections. Concerning the SER, as we know, the SER is a very important advisory organ to government. A lot of decisions has to be sent to the SER for advice, for them to evaluate the effect on the social economic status of the country. And it has been for 2 years that there has been no functional SER for country St. Martin. Is actually a unimaginable situation that we were in for 2 years. I came in, and in the transition document, that was one of the items that had to be taken care of after being a unsolved problems for 2 years. And on the 5th of August, ultimately the landsbesluiten, the national decrees for the board members, for the new board of the SER has been signed. And thus this week, the members will be approached with their signed national decrees. And then we will have an official meeting at the end of this week with the new board members and organization of the SER, the Sociaal-Economische Raad. And from there on, we will be happy to have a functional, established SER again for Country St. Martin. As you know, the SER consists of 9 members, and we have 9 substitute members in case one of the members fall out. And these members are divided in 3 sectors. The first one is one of the employers division. From that one, we have 3 members and 3 substitute members. The other one is from the employees branch, and these are nominated and proposed by the WICLU. And the third section of the 3 other board members to finalize the group of 9 comes from independent members, and those are most of the time proposed by government. But in total, I have signed 18 national decrees for the establishment of the new board of the SER, and ultimately we will have a SER again for Country St. Martin. That's topic 2. Topic 3 is, of course, GEBE, and everybody is waiting on this one, of course. And to start with, we have to realize something very good. I have the impression that a lot is being expected from this government and this prime minister. Actually, we have to realize that where we are today as a country is a consequence of insufficiency and no decision-making or bad decision-making that has our country today where it is. And one of the effects of what has transpired in the past is, of course, what our nation is encountering now with the energy supply for the country. And everybody is looking at this government as this prime minister, for you have to solve all of a sudden a problem that actually has been caused in the past, because we are now 13 weeks in government, but all of a sudden now, everything now is imploding at this particular phase that this new government is in. And we are not pointing fingers, we are assuming our responsibility, and we are trying to tackle all the problems that we are encountering. And the one we have, of course, is our national utility company. To make sure, I went this morning myself, personally, again, to the plant of GEBE to inspect what is going on there. I spoke also with the project manager from the So Energy, that is the company that we rented these containers from. They are all brand new containers, so they have no running time yet. They checked them all, they're all functional already. What we are waiting on now are some fuel pipelines that are arriving tomorrow with a container by our harbor, with shipment that is coming tomorrow. Until now, there is no contraindication that they will not arrive tomorrow. So until now, the arrival of the fuel pipelines are planned to arrive the harbor of St. Martin tomorrow. That's the 8th of August. And also tomorrow, the fuel pumps that are needed to get the fuel in the engines, they're going to arrive tomorrow also, but they are being flown in, and it is air freight that is going to arrive tomorrow. And on that freight, we will have 7 fuel pumps that will arrive. They have explained me that it will take approximately 4 to 5 days to install these fuel pipelines, inclusive the fuel pumps. And the intention is that for the 13th of August, the plant will be functional. There are a lot of rumors about not fitting the grid. They have to synchronize this. That is normal. Every new generation that you add to the grid has to be synchronized. It's not something exceptional. There are rumors that they are there and nobody can do anything with them. I have not received that information this morning. Actually, all generator has been tested already by running them, by adding only in their own tank diesel to see if they function. So Energy were there. Technicians from Caterpillar were also there because they're all brand new, these generators. So we are the first country that are going to make use of these brand new generators. So in principle, it's a matter of waiting on the day of tomorrow for the fuel pipelines and the fuel pumps, and it will take approximately 5 to 6 days. That means that for the 13th, hopefully this plant will be connected to the grid. And the time before that, of course, we're going to use to make it operational, to synchronize it to the grid, but that is what we are working to get this going. And don't forget that on the long term, of course, the mid-long term, we are still busy with an order of 18 new containerized generators that will be have the destination for St. Martin, that we actually made a down payment on already, and this will be the additional 20 megawatts that we will receive after installing and connecting the 10 megawatt that we have now. And the batch of the 10 is the ones that we rented. The ones of 20 coming will be the ones that we are having in a rent-to-own construction. Don't forget once more, GB is not a problem caused by this government and this prime minister. It's a problem that imploded in our face and that we are taking care of. And that is what I can inform you at this particular moment of the latest information of the developments concerning energy supply to the people of St. Martin. I think that that is for now what I have to share with you. I don't know if there are more questions because we're running out of time, and I gave the indication already that I have another commitment, but I will try to handle the questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Bibi, you have the floor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Relaika. Prime Minister, I have a lot, but I'll go with the first one. Information reaching me is that about 40 engineers were brought in to take care of the GEBE with the installation of the containers. Can you tell me if this is true and what caused the 10-hour blackout in certain areas yesterday? Can you shed light on that? Because yesterday there are certain areas 5 hours earlier in the day, in the night, another 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'm hearing that GEBE had to bring in a number as much as 40 engineers to be able to install these generators. Is that true?
I do not have a figure. What I know is that by the deal that we have with So Energy, by the order that we had of those 7 generators together producing 10 megawatt, is that they will be here on the island with their team to install them and also to make them operational and to make sure that they stay operational in the coming 3 months, and also including the workers of GEBE also in the process of the production of energy. So that deal was made already by the order of the containers. These technicians were already known that they will fly in. The amount of technicians that they flew in from So Energy, I can check that for you, but I don't have an exact figure for you. Pardon? Okay, my Minister of Labor is telling me that she signed 8 permits for 8 technicians for So Energy. So we have the direct figure from the minister herself, from the Minister of Labor.
All right, Prime Minister, there's one burning question, and this is for the
Bibi,
people of St. Martin.
unfortunately, we do not have the time.
Just
Prime
one,
Minister also
please.
has to go, and I would like
Please.
to allow your colleagues the time. Judy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I
Yeah.
just have a quick one.
Yeah.
A recommendation was made that GEBE do away with all of the. A recommendation has been made that GEBE do away with all of the previous bills, given the whole situation with the billing and so forth, and start anew in October. You were not here last week, so I asked your colleague, but you said you had a discussion with GB yesterday, and I'd like to know if this issue came up. Can GB afford to do away with all of the previous bills from consumers and start fresh in October? Is that something that GB can sustain or afford to do at this point? Thank you.
We realize that the people of St. Martin has suffered from this energy crisis. There's no discussion about that. We realized it completely. Not only the individuals have suffered in their quality of life, but also the country and its economy and its development has been disturbed by the crisis that we are in with the energy supply for our people. So that is a fact. Loose from that, due to mismanagement in the past, GB's financial status is not the best, and we know that too. So we are, of course, discussing and seeing and evaluating if there are possibilities that those questions that I've heard also on the street, if we can do something to that for the people that has been suffering in this country. And I think that I have discussed this proposal with GEBE. It has some challenges. First of all, you're going to request that by a company that has a vulnerable financial status in the first place. Secondly, you have to apply it, and then you will get a group of people that did pay until today will say, but why some are getting a free ride if we forget the past, and I have paid, so you will have to think very, very good on that. And if you recognize that too, you will have to oblige GEBE then to look back and say, okay, those that we have received money from, we have to make a payment form that they're going to get back partially part of their money if you get so far in an agreement with a very vulnerable financial status of our national utility company. But of course, we realize the suffering of the people, and of course, our government would like to do something for the people of St. Martin, realizing the difficult situation that we are in now financially with our people in our country.
Sorry, I don't understand. Are you saying that this proposal is being discussed?
I have, yeah, of course. Seeing that this request is outside there, I discussed that with preliminary with GEBE, and we are talking about it. Nothing has been established, nothing has been promised, but of course, as you feel it, I feel it too. Your concerns, I have too. Realizing the financial challenges of my people in St. Martin is the same as you are encountering on the street. So, of course, as a Prime Minister of the people of St. Martin, I have to consider that too and see if there is an option that we can do something for the people that have been suffering, not this year, more than a year already of this crisis of GB. It's not something that started in May when we started with this government. And don't forget, this started more than a year ago. So we are discussing what options are possible.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Emily?
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
You've mentioned some words as you've referred to GB, insufficient decision-making,
Yep.
Mismanagement, bad decisions. So my question to you is, clearly GB has not performed well. What structural changes have been made by this government in terms of addressing the board or the management structure? Has anyone been warned, sent home? What change has government brought to address this?
Yes, very good. There is a lot to address on all fields in St. Martin. GB is one, you have to realize it very good. And on the field of GB, we have noticed that a lot went wrong. But you have to realize something. You have a national crisis, and in that national crisis, you realize perhaps maybe that you have some challenges with management of the GEBE, because at this particular moment, there is only an interim director, manager. You do not have a complete board of a CFO, a CEO, and a COO. It's one-man management at this particular moment. In St. Martin, it's very typical to say, okay, if something is wrong, somebody has to pay the price. That's the way we solve problems in St. Martin. He has to go, right? It's a common sentence nowadays. So now you're going to say, okay, he has to go. And the next question is, we have a national crisis, and then we're going to create now, in this national crisis, a second managerial crisis in a national crisis, having two crises at the same time. The question is, if this is the most appropriate moment to do that. And secondly, and then you take care of your board, you dismiss people, and the following day you stand up, you still have the same national crisis, and you have a second crisis on top of that, being the continuation of the managing of your national utility company. And of course, these are very essential questions, important questions that I ask myself every day too. But it's all about timing and to see how you're going to move forward with new vision, and especially vision to actually reorganize on all levels your energy utility company for your country. That's a big challenge. And realizing that the world is walking away from you with a new vision of renewable energy too. It's not just replacing a management and your problem of GB. You have to not forget what you have to replace, what the history has done with this company. And of course, everybody is thinking, okay, two decisions and the problem is solved. No, that is not the way it works. The problems in GB are problems that are severe problems that it became a monster because of insufficiency in management. How many boards didn't we change in the past years for GEBE? How many managers did we not change for GEBE? How much money did shareholders didn't take away to balance budgets in the past instead of purchasing great generators for the company? And all of a sudden it becomes a problem of the Prime Minister and this government. Let's be realistic and let's realize what this government is doing after encountering the chaos on this island. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. As Prime Minister does have to leave, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, August 7, 2024. For rebroadcast, tune into stmartingov.org, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and YouTube channel, Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Roleka Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.